All right, quadratics. Quadratic. The graph of a quadratic is generally a parabola. Quadratic equations can be written in two forms, and you're going to use these two forms as you're working throughout this unit. So you have the standard form. The standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And standard form helps you to identify the zeros. The zeros are the intercepts or what makes the equation to be true. So we're gonna see that in a second. And then we got the vertex form of a quadratic equation. And we've gone over this. We've gone through something similar to this when we're talking about absolute value, but it's a little different because you have this square term right here, and it's useful for graphing. So to find the zeros, we must factor. There's a couple of methods you can use for factoring. You can use simple factoring, and I'll show you what that is. You can use the quadratic equation, grouping, and completing the square. Now, when you factor, it should be in standard form. Now, you may be a magician to where you can, see the you can see the zeros in the vertex form, but I'm not there yet. So I'm just gonna show you how I do it. So we're gonna do just simple factoring. Now, is this in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0? Well, sure. What is a? A is 1, b is -5, and c is 6, right? Okay. So I'm gonna erase that. We really don't need to know that. So we do need to know that, but anyway. But when a equals 1, it's very easy. It's so easy. So what you do is you look at b. You look at b right here. B is -5. So you ask yourself, which two factors of c can you add together to get b? Well, what are the factors of 6? We have 1, -1, 2, -2, 3, -3, 6, -6. Okay? So we need to find a way to combine two of these factors to where we can multiply them together to get +6, and we can add them together to get -5. So that's pretty easy. So we're gonna take since we have a negative, so we're gonna be working with negative. So we're gonna take -3 and -2. -3 times -2 is +6, and then -3 plus -2 plus -3 is -5. So I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to write it how it's supposed to be written. So we already told ourselves we're going to have -2 and -3, and then equals 0. All right, so that's how you factor it. Now, if they ask you what are the zeros, well, you just solve both of these equations, or no, not the equation. You solve both of these factors right here. These are factors. I'm not gonna say terms. They're factors. You solve both of these factors for 0. So we would have x minus 2 equals 0, and then x minus 3 equals 0. So we would have x equals 2 and x equals 3. Simple. Okay. Moving along. And I'm gonna show you what that pertains to on the graph. Give me 1 second. Where's my book? Here it is. Okay, so let's try another one. We're gonna have x squared plus 5x plus 4. Okay, so we're gonna take two factors of positive 4 that add up together to get positive 5. So I already know it's gonna be 4, positive 4, and positive 1. We already know that 4 times 1 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5. So my factors are going to be x plus 1 and x plus 4. And that's going to be equal to 0. We already know because it should be in standard form. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. Now, let's look at another example right quick. Give me 1 second. So we're gonna have make sure that's correct. I was supposed to have everything written down right in front of me, but you know, hey. All right, so we're gonna have this right here. All right, so if you were asked to factor it, how would you do that? Now it's gonna be actually the same way as we did the other ones, but this one is a little different. This one's a little different. Why is that? Because remember, when it's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and your a term is 1, it makes it easy. Then all you got to do is you take two factors of c, add them together to get b, and those are gonna be your factors. But you can't do that when a is anything other than 1. So a lot of times when I was first learning this, I would guess and play around, but that's crazy. So this is what I do now. I take this 3 right here, and I take this 2 right here, and I multiply them together. I get 6. I drop my 5 right there. So now what I need is 2 factors of 6 that will add together to give me 5. So I'm gonna say 3 and 2. Okay, so now right here, I'm gonna rewrite this. I'm gonna say 3x squared plus 3x plus 5x, plus 2x plus 2 equals 0. All right, so now I'm going to group them. I'm going to group them. All right, so when I group them, I'm going to factor out common factors. So right here, I'm gonna group this and this together, and I'm gonna group these together right here. All right, so I'm looking at this right here, and I'm gonna factor out a 3. They both have 3 in common, and they both have x in common. So if I factor out 3x out of x squared, I'm just gonna get x. Why is that? Because 3x times x is 3x squared. This is just algebra 1. All right, don't get confused. And then I'm going to factor out a 3x from here. So if I factor out a 3x from here, I'm going to get 1. All right, so far so good. So now look at this. What can I factor out of this? I can factor out a 2. if I factor out a 2, what's left inside? I'm going to have x, and then I'm going to have 1. Okay, so when you have this and this the same, that's how you know you did it right. So I'm going to erase this right here. And then I'm just going to put this right here, and I'm going to rewrite it. So I'm going to take these two right here, this one and this one, this 3x and this 2, and that's a factor. 3x plus 2. And then this is one factor right here, times x plus 1 equals 0. So now I can find the zeros, and remember, to find the zeros, you just set these two equal to 0, and that's going to be your intercepts. And like I said, I'm going to show you that when we're looking at graphs. All right. So work on that, and we're gonna come back, and we're gonna work on completing the square, and then we're gonna do the quadratic equation.